to welcome the Member of Parliament in Ghana who has graced us with his presence today. Honorable Davis Ansa Opuko is the Member of Parliament from Pereso constituency in the eastern region of Ghana. He started his public service as a staunch defender of civil rights and public interest with the Alliance for Accountable Governance, AFAG. He played a significant role in public interest advocacy as the Director of Operations of AFAG. He again served as Deputy Director and Executive Assistant to the Chief Executive of the National Health Insurance Authority during a period of 3 years from 2017 to 2019. He provided support in the launch of the National Health Insurance um, mobile renewal platform, a convenient method to renew NHIS policy by dialing a dedicated NHIS short code. And in 2020, he was elected in the Parliament of Ghana. He also serves as the deputy ranking of the Public Accounts Committee in the Parliament and a select committee on Works and Housing Committee. In addition to that, Honorable Delegate, he was recently appointed as the Public Relations Officer for the Young Parliamentarian Forum, a forum set up to boost the participation of young people in the Parliament. Honorable Davis is also a graduate of the University of Cape Coast, where he read laboratory technology. He continued to the University of London to study law, and then to the University of Manchester, where he completed his program in communication. And he is currently in his final stage of his law professional course and master's in law at the University of Laws. Honorable Davis is a passionate advocate in human trafficking, cybersecurity, rural housing, and reforms in the justice delivery system. And as an MP, he has devoted considerably time to use new media to promote participatory democracy in the discharge of his work. He has actively supported grassroots activities, assisting schools, sustainable programs, and potable water for communities. As a developmental agent, he has ensured that his constituency benefit from rural telephone, roads, and educational infrastructure. In 2001, the 40 um, Under 40 Award celebrated Davis as the most influential and accomplished young leader in governance and government agencies in Ghana. He's the founding president of Kwahu Professionals Network, KPN, an association of Kwahus from diverse backgrounds, and co-founded the Youth Economic Dialogue, the YED in short. Dear delegates, please allow me once again to appreciate the Honorable for gracing us with his presence online today, and kindly allow me to hand the mic over to Enoch. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Esther, for warm introduction and giving us a good platform to start in the welcoming. Honorable Davis, you're welcome. Good to see you. I hope you're very good in Accra. I would like you say something to our delegates before we dive into today's session. Like more introduction to who you are and what you're more passionate about, and to know you better.
Thank you very much, Enoch. Thank you, Esther, and thank you to the whole team. I'm very honored to be here this afternoon It's 2 p.m. in Ghana, so we're still in the afternoon. Together with you, first of all, discuss my journey as a young legislator, and also to look at how we are able to foster peace on the continent. I'm excited because it's very difficult to see people come together to champion an agenda that fosters peace. And for me, it's something that I would appreciate you. I would want to appreciate the African Red Belt Group for championing. As said, I'm a member of Parliament for Impriso constituency in Ghana. I serve on the Public Accounts Committee as a deputy ranking. I'm told that it is quite difficult for a first-timer to serve as a deputy leader on a very sensitive committee like the Public Accounts Committee that holds governments accountable in Parliament in Ghana. And I think that it is because of the support of young people, and I'm there to ensure that the public purse is protected. I also serve on the Works and Housing Committee that has oversight responsibility for ministries in Ghana. One, the Ministry of Works and Housing, that deals with housing, providing affordable housing to Ghanaians, and also the Ministry of Water and Sanitation that provides water and also ensures that our environments are always kept clean. And just like Esther said, I am also the public relations officer for the Young Parliamentary Forum here in Ghana, and I join a lot of associations. My interest mainly has been to help the youth, especially in areas of human trafficking and also cybersecurity and all of that. So we've been doing a lot of research and advocacy in that area, and presently, my office, with collaboration from some agencies in the United States, is putting up a plan to develop a curriculum in human trafficking tailored at the youth, tailored at the young people. Yeah. So, this is what I can say. I'm happy to be as a guest, and hoping that from today's meeting, I'll be admitted as a member of this wonderful group.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. You are already in the family code. Thank you very much. Today's discussion is something very appealing to Africa, mostly. I love the way that you've purposed your journey to helping young people and connecting young people with a positive space of representation and hearing their voices. As today's motion states that the role of young people in cementing peace through diplomacy. As everyone knows, shockingly, world over, the young people are the largest percentage ever recorded in history. They make up to 1.2 billion people across the world. But here, the shocking thing, African youth, and when you define youth as the people between the ages of 15 to 24, at least by UN definition, by my own definition, up to 30. The young people globally, Africa-wise, they make 19% of the global population for the whole young people. And by 2030, they will be making 45% or 42% of young people. So the young people have the immense, they hold the future, they hold the present and the future. And I want to start by a simple just introduction. What do you understand by, how do you understand the topic? First of all, the keywords there is legislation and peace. How do young people supposed to connect as a legislature in Ghana? What could be the role, the practice of young people in cementing peace, like through legislation? What is legislation, first of all? People might want to ask from there.
Well, legislation is more of a process in making laws. So the process, so for instance, in Ghana, there are two ways by which Parliament can consider a law. One through a private member bill, something that has recently been introduced to our House, and two, which says about 95% of it from the central government. So the process of making law, I mean, is what we call, so we are lawmakers, sort of. Legislature is a lawmaker, and making that peace. So it's important that we appreciate that peace in itself is not the one that we usually get in our homes. I mean, sometimes you're too bothered at home, you want to go get a drink somewhere just to move away from certain nonsense and all of that. But I want to look at peace in terms of, I mean, and taking into context Africa, how as Africans we can foster peace is through ensuring that the very basic necessities of life, things that people survive, shelter is made available, food, it's also made available to young people, and also jobs, very, very critical. I'm sure that when people have their peace of mind, when people have something doing, it takes them off certain engagements. And that is how I would want us to look at it that way. Today in Africa, we are blessed. I mean, we have a continent that is so compact, though divided, a continent that provides us with a lot of opportunities as young people. Just like you said, I mean, we have a very young continent, and it clearly tells you that it is a youth that holds Africa. It is us that can determine the pace, and it is us that should determine the pace at all times. But how do we, as young people, or support? I mean, what are some of the things that we can do as young people? I am a young legislature. For instance, I think that the AFCTA, and if I mention that I'm talking about the AFTA, I don't know if you've heard of AFTA. I don't know. It's an opportunity that provides us a single market where we can trade amongst ourselves as Africans. For me, it is one area that we need to hold and hold very, very, very well as Africans. We are looking at a GDP of about 3 trillion. And there are serious projections that are coming out of it. The most worrying thing is that if we do not create jobs for our youth, and looking at the trend in the next 10, 15 years to come, there will be serious chaos on the continent of Africa. There will be serious chaos on the continent of Africa, and it's something that we need to quickly work on. You realize that it looks like the Chinese and other Turkey and all of that have taken over our markets. They are virtually producing everything, including toothpaste for Africans. It's something that we need to take in the narrative. If we want to create jobs, then we need to be looking at what they call a structural transformation program. A program that looks at changing the narrative or changing how we deal in trade. A lot of people engage in Africa.
Yeah.
But how do we ensure that we have a strong manufacturing sector that is employing a lot of our young people, that is giving them money into their pockets, and that is ensuring that they have peace? That, for me, is the foremost thing that we must work. So I'm happy that in Ghana today, we have accepted AFCTA.
Yes.
Our government is doing a lot in the space of industrialization. Within the last 5 years, government has created over 108 factories that are meant to produce from the raw materials that we have here. And in all of this, 90% of the people employed in these factories are the youth. But we have the needed skills to work in these factories, I doubt.
Yes. Yeah.
The challenge is that you can be sitting in Namibia, you can be sitting in South Africa, and you have a lot of skills, you have worked in industries that you've gained a lot of experiences. How do we ensure that we create a borderless society where somebody sitting in South Africa can easily pick a passport, or even without a passport, come to Ghana, present his certificates. Certificates are accepted as genuine and can work in Ghana, and he gets a job to.
Yes.
We need to look at creating a free movement, a borderless system that is able to ensure that work everywhere. In so doing, then we'll be spreading a lot of skills. We'll be making sure that where the skills are needed, we are there. I mean, as young people, for me, that is one way we can ensure that everybody has a peace of mind and everybody is working. The unemployment situation in Africa is alarming, and I think that we need to quickly do something about it. So I look at, in the context of people having jobs, in the context of having opportunities here in Ghana, in the context of people not finding ways and means, illegal means to travel out of the continent. Today,
yes,
in the northern part of Africa, you realize that there are a lot of people who move from the sub-Saharan Africa, and they make there's been a lot of attempts to enter into Europe through Libya.
Yeah.
And how do we end that? We can only end that when there is we have jobs. We can only end that when the skills that they have learned, whether be trade, whether vocational training, whether technical training, whether being a lawyer, he is able to get jobs here. I mean, I've traveled to Europe on countless occasions. I've met with the Africans, and anytime you ask them, why are you not coming to Africa? It tells you we have the passion, but there are no jobs. And when we come, we are going to be a burden on the family. We are going to be a burden on society and all of that. So I think as young people, we should be looking at pushing for African leaders to now begin to accept the common platform that they have created and begin to now look at how we can transform our economies, how we can ensure that our economies, we are able to produce for ourselves. So that
exactly. I actually want to interrupt there when you say the question of job creation. I like the way you brought it as it is really time to see peace in creation of job security, job opportunities, mostly for young people. And I want to ask, what is the role? First of all, we see the government, definitely it is easy to say government should create this, but what should the youth themselves create? Because sometimes government will never do it. Then the role, practical roles of the government to do it. But first of all, the young people, what should they do? What skills should they develop? How should they position to take all those opportunities?
All right, so I think first we need to accept that in Africa, close to about 55% of the work we do are in the agricultural sector. And I have said that we don't need to be shifting that much from agri because the potential in the sector has not been untapped. We have a lot of potential. I mean, we have a lot of avenues where we can easily and quickly develop the various economies using agri. But agri still remains very unattractive to young people. Sometimes I wonder why it is so. I'm sure, I mean, whilst growing up, most of them were used in schools had poor people holding machetes and hoes and engaging on the farms. And I think it has printed some negative impression about agriculture on our minds. We need support as young people to now be looking at how to engage in commercial agriculture, how we are able to develop the various value chains in agriculture. I mean, what is lacking as young people is the synergy. everybody wants to work on its own. People are unwilling to form groups. People are unwilling to join companies and all of that. So every day you have young people coming to you and presenting you with a proposal that seeks to, as it were, create employment. It has a big vision, but you realize that it lacks capacity. So as young people, we should begin forming synergies. And it should not just be people in your country. We can form synergies with people outside our countries. Like I said, the AFCTA creates a common platform for all of us as young people. It creates a borderless trading system for all of us as young people. We need to quickly take advantage of it and begin to form synergies. So I'm happy with your group. And I know that probably maybe you have a WhatsApp group or you have a website that has members. Once you do that, people now begin to showcase their talents. People now begin to form cliques. People now begin to form associations. And it leads to forming giant companies that identify the challenges that we face in our country. So agriculture provides us.
Yes.
Africa is huge. ICT is the order of the day now. Everybody seems to be grabbing ICT. Today, we are on Zoom having a meeting. Zoom was created by somebody who is not African. Actually, everybody is on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is not an African product. Facebook is not an African product. But we have the numbers. Go to China. China introduced an app. They call it there's
the WeChat.
WeChat.
Yeah.
And when you are in China, I mean, you cannot do without WeChat. That is what they use in trading. That is what they use in everything. Can't we come up as African youth with an app that is meant for Africa, especially when we have the market, when we have the numbers?
Okay. Yeah.
I virtually spend almost $10 a day on Facebook, targeting people who do not live even within my communities, people who do not live in my country, people who do not live on my continent.
Yes.
But if we have been able to build an app that is purposely meant for Africans, that is connecting Africans from other jurisdictions and all of that, I'm sure it's going to help. So it's a challenge that I'm throwing to young people today. The social media platforms are there, but let's come out with an innovative app that connects Africans and begins to speak our language and begins to find solutions to our challenges. I think that it will help us. So that is opportunities provided in the ICT space. Now, luckily we are getting there. I mean, the internet penetration is high. Virtually in every district in Ghana, you should get 4G network. We have not yet started 5G yet, but even in Europe, even in UK, it's not everywhere that you get 5G.
Absolutely, so, yes.
4G is good. I mean, in Ghana, people who have mobile phones are even more than the population. It tells you people have 2, 3 mobile phones, and you wonder what they use it for. So please, for me, that place is a cash cow, and it's an area where, as Africans, we need to begin and looking. That, for me, leads to a lot of jobs being created.
Absolutely.
So it's important. We have looked at that, Rick. We have looked at ICT and the service industry as well.
Yes.
Very huge market in the service industry. People, we still import consultants just for them to speak their mind, and African governments pay them huge sums of money.
Yes. Absolutely.
But I can also tell you that we have a lot of Africans living elsewhere, and the challenge with them not even coming to our country is that countries or governments are willing to welcome them to work for them.
Absolutely, yeah. But that's where we come to the side of government now.
Yeah.
As legislatures, like in Ghana, using like a practical example in Ghana, what have you done to, like, of course, when you help Ghanaian youth, you're helping African youth, definitely. But what have you done, like, in the Parliament of Ghana right now, as the legislatures of the country, to help is like make the youth access to leadership? Number one, access to leadership, including them in governance structures and decisions, making their lives easy for penetration of internet and creativity industry, because many would say, well, we're here, we're educated, politicians are not minding what we are doing, they are in their own world. Blame game, the blame game between the leaders and the youth. What have you done, like, to help young people in Ghana? Like, because we have many Ghanaians in the form right now here, so there will be, like, what the plans for the government you have even for them. Like, what have you done in the process to help them? Yeah.
All right. I think first of all, I'm in Ghana's parliament today. I am part of a group of MPs that are pushing for a legislation or a repeal of certain actions of certain parts of our constitution that bars people with dual citizen from coming to work in certain institutions in Ghana. So somebody for economic activities decides to study in Canada or in the UK. Now, because there are no jobs and he needs to come back and feed family, he decides to work there. And by virtue of some works, you need to have gotten a citizenship of these countries. Today in Ghana, such persons cannot serve as members of parliament. Such persons cannot serve as chief executives of certain sensitive security installations. But I am of the opinion that that narrative should change. And if indeed we would want highly skilled Africans who have studied outside the continent to come home, then we need to break those barriers and ensure that. So myself and other colleagues are now pushing seriously for a repeal of certain sections of our constitution that stops such individuals from coming. Somebody who has stayed outside for quite a long time would not want to engage in the politics. But even the mere news, the mere fact that he's heard that Ghana has repealed that portion of the constitution, is welcoming for such a person. And he knows that Ghana is ready, or Africa for that matter is ready to open their doors up to welcome such individuals. So it's one thing that I have worked on. Another critical thing that I'm working on is how we are able to stop what I call labor trafficking, where a lot more young people leave the shores of our country and they are lured into traveling sometimes to other countries outside the continent, and they are used as sex traffickers. Some engage in very in labors that we would not want to see our fellow human being engaged in. So I realized that most African countries are now putting up legislations on that. But what is lacking is some preventive measures.
Yes,
awareness.
Absolutely, yeah.
So as we speak, I have submitted to the Speaker of Ghana's Parliament a statement on human trafficking, taking into account the cyberspace that it offers. Now people are using social media, Facebook, Snapchat, and all of that to lure young girls into sex trafficking. And that is one area where we really would want to see people getting jobs, even outside the continent. But in doing so, their rights needs to be protected. In doing so, there has to be some level of respect for such persons. And that is where we are heading towards. On the whole, Ghana's parliament in the last budget considered a bill. We passed a bill that looks like we call it Obatampake, and it's a program that government is pumping a lot of money in supporting young people in agriculture. So we are going to provide them the farm tools. We are going to provide machines. and all of that. And it is largely because the 108 factories that I talked about, the challenge now for the factories is the supply. And do the job are the young people. So government, through that program, is looking at how we are able to engage a lot of young people in commercial farming.
Yes. Yeah.
And that is the focus. These are about a few of the things that we are doing in this.
Wonderful. Yeah.
That I think is helping.
Wonderful. Thank you. And that's very good. Like we see a lot of young people, mostly young girls from Africa going to the Middle East. God knows what happens to them when they are working there. So we need like African governments to waken up, and through laws we can achieve something. Of course, that are enforced, because there are good laws that they enforce. Enforcement mechanism for sure. Yes, we are approaching the time for open up the debate to all other members, but I want to ask a question. There may be a young person on the platform eyeing to be a politician, eyeing to be a member of parliament, either in Ghana or even other African countries. What does it take to share experience? What does it take to be a member of parliament, like in Ghana or in other African countries? What mindset, what skill set can a person aspiring to be a politician, to be a legislature, in that case, should have? What mindset, what skills, what connections, what resources should be practical ways that can take the person to be a member of parliament?
Well, I think first is the passion to serve. If you have the passion to serve, I mean, people have said that you need a lot of money to engage in politics in Africa. Yes, I mean, I say that to do politics, you need what I call the 3 M's. You need to have money, you need to have a strong message, and you need to have the machinery. Exactly. I think all of this is a passion. And you do not just get into politics and then when you want to contest as a member of parliament. You need to also learn. So when I completed university, I did my national service with the Parliament of Ghana. And so I had some bit of experience in the legislative process. I've enjoyed working with some members of parliament. I've enjoyed working in my political party. I've served, and just like Esther said, I've been with the Alliance for Accountable Governance, a group that we formed whilst in opposition that kept government on its toes.
Yes.
So you need to be engaged in the public space. You need to be out there championing causes in your constituency. I mean, there are a lot of causes now. I mean, and especially the females, they have great opportunities now. Everything is centered on how to ensure that the female right is protected. And that is where I want to challenge my dear female friends that get into the space. I mean, you are the better person to speak the language of young African women. I mean, yes. I would do my bit, but I think the honors, the real responsibility lies on you, and you need to also get into the space. So the passion has to be there. You need to learn. You need to and learning. You learn through the practice of it. I mean, I started as a young student leader in the university. I was the head of my political parties group on campus. So after school, I was offered a job. I was offered a job to work in the bank. I declined because I wanted to work through my party system, and so I developed interest in being a legislature. And I think it's working well. I mean, as a young person, I'm just 37. Having entered Ghana's parliament, I think it forced me a better platform to speak for the youth and to speak for the youth. And I'm sometimes not surprised at what, because I think that I represent that constituency. I represent the young people's constituency.
Yes.
And on issues concerning the youth, I know what I'm talking about because I have experienced it.
Wow. Very good. You had yourself have the passion, have the resources, and good enough. We're here at African Rebut. We're training. We're actually in a training of a diplomacy, a diplomatic training. How do you network? Networking is a key killer in the politics. So you have to have network. You have to have resources. But the resources is not money only. It's people. You know, people. When you have people on your side, it's money. You know, so have the people. Go, don't shy out, go to public service. Because many people, not even young people, even old people, want something, but they don't want to walk the journey. So walk the journey of politicians. So you're a student, be aligned to a political party. Don't shy out to take leadership and say that it's old for, no, go out. Be specific what you want for sure. Yes.
It's not just a political party. So for instance, you can join associations like the Lions Club, like the Rotary Club International, like Students in Free Enterprise. Right? There are a lot of associations on campus that builds you up, it builds you up, it gives you that leadership skills. I mean, you realize that as soon as you get out of the school, you get out of the university, or whether you find yourself in industry, whether you're in your community or wherever, you stand out as a leader. Yeah, because these are courses that you have championed whilst on campus. And, in the university, it's like a whole community on its own. You virtually have everybody, every type of human being there. So once you are getting on campus, it makes it so easy to be able to translate into your real world.
Right. Thank you. We're going to end, but someone tipped me, reminded me, and say, what really makes a good legislature? Really quick. What makes, so when the process, we finish the process, now we're in parliament. What makes a good legislature? Not like an average member of parliament. What makes you stand out? What key skills?
I think it's research. The ability to research on issues.
Very nice.
A very good legislature. Of course, you cannot be a member of parliament when you cannot stand on your feet to argue, make a point.
Exactly.
If you cannot do that, then you're in the wrong profession. So you should be able to stand on your feet and argue.
Yeah.
You argue based on substance. You only get that substance when you do research. You have a team that does a lot of research. I mean, in my office, I have a team of young, dedicated men who I work closely with, and we engage research and all of that. One of the challenges I've seen with African legislatures is that they keep everything to themselves. We need to begin opening up. And if you realize, on my LinkedIn, on my Facebook, on my Instagram account, I regularly update my constituents or my followers with what we do in the house. Everything that matters has to be known. So, and applying communication to what we do has also helped a lot. But for me, what makes a good legislature is your ability to research on issues and to identify the issues that affect them. And you need to be engaging. You need to be engaging. A lot of MPs do not engage in the community clinics, meeting constituents, engaging them, getting to know what they feel about issues that are pertinent. Once that you do not do that, then you've lost touch with the realities of this world, because you are representative of the people. So what must be a representation of what the people think. You're not there to think, to pour out what you think. You are there to express what people think, what you're about the thing. So if you don't engage them, you don't engage in community debates, if you don't have a WhatsApp for your office that engages your constituents, if you don't have a telephone that is accessible, if you don't have an office. I came and met, my constituency, my predecessor did not have an office. So I'm almost 90% complete in having a constituency office where my constituents can easily get information at the place. My constituents can easily reach out to me when they have any concerns. They can easily reach out to me so that I can also come to the central government and tell the central government that this and this and this is what our people want or need.
Wonderful. Excellent. Research. That's what we tell you every day. Be a good researcher, communication, the ability to communicate, the ability to engage, people skills. So not to elected a member of parliament and to change class and then want to hear your people. So thank you very much, Honorable Davis. It has been such an enriching experience. I like that you shared from a personal experience and not something alien or what is perceived to be a good legislature leader. So thank you very much. I hope people learned a lot. Those were my questions I was asking on the behalf of our group, but I also have some questions. So I'll give it back to Esther to take over for the Q&A, and then we shall call it a day after. Thank you very much. My time is over for now. Esther, back to you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Davis. Thank you very much, Enoch. Thank you very much, dear delegates, for following up with the sessions. And we are going to quickly get to the question and answer sessions. We're going to take a few questions in a few minutes for Honorable Davis. All right, thank you very much. Delegate, let's take a question first. The first question from Peter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to use the opportunity to thank our honorable member for Emprise constituency, Honorable Opoku Davis Ansah, for his wonderful presentation. I'm Peter Santi, a delegate of Ghana, and I think most of the things he stated were very touching concerns of a country or a nation. And as young people, I just wanted to know that many of us today, we are being so passionate. We are really being so passionate about our progress and the progress of the nation. However, as he stated, there are a lot of challenges that are pushing some of these things from not being positive, or we realizing some of this positivity of the challenges that before us as a country. When you go Ghana, we know we have to send the visitors. A clear or critical question I would like to know is, are we really participating in the decentralization concept? That is to bring the development to the people. Because when you come to our country, Ghana now, it is in paper, it is in written, but clearly stating many of the things are being centralized in the capital. And many youths who would have to go into some of these adventures of business now don't have the opportunity of accessing some of these things. So they are being neglected. I think our leaders must sit up to revisit the policies that has to take the youth into consideration by creating more conducive atmosphere and opportunity for you that they can tap into. I would like to state on issue of business startup. If you're a citizen of this country, you want to do a little business startup, you have to go through a lot of processes, the bureaucracy processes. And you have the Registrar General Department who is supposed to do this. And somebody stays somewhere in the northern part of Ghana. You have to travel all the way to Accra. So how do such situations give that atmosphere to the person to venture into a business? Aside that, what other avenues are they creating for the youth out there at the local levels to tap into what, let me say, some kind of supporting avenues in projecting some of this business? These are some of the challenges. And I think our constitution, as he said, they have already started working on some aspects of the constitution which needs to be amended they should really look at some of them more and do it so that we can really practice the decentralization concept as stated in the Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates. So a quick reminder, people who are taking questions should use a few minutes, a few seconds actually, and to the minutes. Like if you're asking a question, please make it straight and use a few seconds. Thank you very much. Honorable Davis, are you going to be taking a question? And
yeah.
right.
So are we going to take probably maybe let's take like 3 questions then
3 questions?
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a question from the delegate from screen. Delegate screen, the floor is yours.
Good day, delegates. Good day, Honorable Davis. My question is, how can African youth make themselves visible or relevant and recognized to take part in legislation activities? Thank you.
Thank you, delegate. We are taking the next question from Mahidin.
Thank you so much, Honorable Parliament Member, and thank you so much, delegates. My name is Magda. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, sir.
Yes, please, delegate, we can hear you.
Yes, this is Magda. So there are 2 questions that I want to forward for the Honorable guest that we're having today. The first question is that I believe among the major factors that push instability in most of African countries is unmanageable unemployment. So, and also to some extent the reluctance of government in fulfilling and also involving the youth in the legislation process, which really matters, the involvement of the youth, like the previous delegates really expressed it in the innovation areas, in the entrepreneurship. And when you have an idea, it's very difficult to get a support from the government if you don't have any collaterals and other factors. So my question is there any experience that Ghana have in these respective areas? And also what shall be done in the youth perspective as well as from the government perspective to decrease this and also to increase the participation of the youth in the legislation process? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, delegates. I think we can give the floor back to Honorable Davis.
All right. So Peter wanted to find out about decentralization in Ghana. It's been a challenge trying to decentralize, especially the executive arm of government. But we would also appreciate that in Ghana, we have a strong local governance structure where virtually in every district, we have about 260 districts where we decentralize local governance in such a way that we have chief executives who represent the president in virtually all the districts, in all these 260 districts. I like this bit about the challenges he faces as a young entrepreneur in the provision of support services as a young entrepreneur. It's been a challenge. Today I was on TV with a trade consultant, and virtually everything that government is doing, it looks like even as a trade consultant, the person is not in the know. It tells you that we do not have a centralized or we don't have a coordinating unit that is able to feed young people with the relevant information that they need. Peter, in Ghana today, under the Ministry of Trade and Industry, government is setting up what we call the business resource centers in virtually all the major cities, in all the major districts in Ghana. It means that you no longer need to travel to Accra to register your company. I mean, in a visit to just one center that is in your district, you are able to access all the necessary information that you need. So today, if you were to go to Tamale, there's a business resource center in San Yugu where young people who are from the 5 regions close there do not now need to travel all the way to the capital to be able to access some basic services like registering company, renewing your company, renewing your tax certificates and all of that. So that is how the government is decentralizing. In my constituency, I am so fortunate to have one. The government is currently putting up a huge business center in my constituency, and I'm also I also have a small factory that will train young people into in value addition. So it is happening, but I think that the challenge we've had with government is that they do not the information flow is quite worrying. There's no much information flow from government, and so young people are unable to know, I mean, the opportunities available to them. So it's something that government needs to work on, make sure that there's a lot of information out there. Let's have a centralized unit. And I was in the meeting with the chief executive of the National Youth Authority of Ghana. I told him that now his agency has to serve as a coordinating unit for young people. So any young person who wants to know about business registration has to go to the National Youth Authority. Any young person who wants to enter into agriculture needs to go to the National Youth Authority. Any young person who wants to go into fashion needs to go to the National Youth Authority. Who then will now direct you to go to, let's say, MBSSI, or go to Ghana Enterprises Agency, or go to the TVET unit, or go to the Ministry of Trade, or go to the Ministry of Fisheries, so that they serve as a coordinating unit to support the young people. Shireen wants to find out how African youth make themselves visible and recognized to take part in legislation activities. See, luckily for us, in our generation, we have a lot of platforms that afford us the opportunity to reach out to our leaders. And I've always said that the best way to engage in civic now is to use social media. I mean, every serious government official, if you're a serious member of parliament, you should have a social media handle where you get to learn, you get to collect feedback as to the policies and the programs that are being implemented in the house. I mean, that is why I use social media a lot. When I do that, you get people responding to your social media messages, you get people sending you private. We gather them and it helps us in the legislative process. So use that platform. I mean, your concerns, your thoughts has to be expressed. And for me, that is the cheapest way in doing that. You don't need to go to a radio station to advertise your thoughts or to express your thoughts. Now you have a platform that has a wide reach. I mean, I was explaining to one of the members of parliament, he's an old man. I was telling him that, can you imagine having a post on Facebook that has about 15,000 reach? And it did not really get my point. That I said, okay, so there's a particular sports stadium in Ghana, the Cape Coast Sports Stadium, which has a sitting capacity of 15,000. Then I thought, so can you imagine you standing in the middle of the stadium and having a microphone, you talk, and the 15,000 people who have filled the park get to hear you. That is the power of social media. That is what social media gives us. You are able to reach out to a lot of people. I mean, I always want to look at the reach of my post, who and who is getting my messages, the number of females, the number of males, and all of that. I do a lot of the data, the bit about it, so that I'm able to appreciate the kind of constituency or the kind of category that listening to me. The last question, I was a bit, I did not really get the last question. And just to add to Sharon's point, the traditional media is still relevant in Africa. There are a lot of newspapers where if you write articles to them, they will listen to you. Engage your members of parliament, engage your local governance, your assembly members, engage the district chief executives. I'm sure when you do that, they now get to appreciate that this is a young lady who has a lot of talent or has ideas in this. When they are forming committees, they add you to the committee. And for me, that is a beginning of your involvement in civic engagements. I did not get the last question. I don't know if it can be typed. No, Esther.
Delegate Market, if you can please be straight to the last question that you asked Honorable Davis, that would be great.
Sure, thank you so much. So my question was, I believe among the major factors that push instability in most of African countries is unmanageable unemployment rate and reluctance of government in involving the youth in policy as well as legislation making process. So what better experience does your country have in including the youth perspective in a legislation process? And also, what do you think the role of the youth shall be for our voices to be heard and also to be consulted in a legislative process that specifically addresses the youth? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Makedi. So today on TV, the young lady I sat on the program with was complaining that every time when policymakers are taking decisions, they do not involve the youth. And then I also posed a question to her: do you also make yourself available to policymakers? I mean, so for instance, in Ghana today, every law, every bill that is proposed and the processes that lead to it are advertised on our Facebook and also on our website. Anybody at all, just by a click of a button, will have access to documents that we use on the floor of the House. Bills, our everyday dealings, our proceedings, our standing orders, everything is available on the Parliament website. You get to even understand the background of members of Parliament so that you're able to channel through the website. But the kind of attitude we have as young people is that we are waiting till some government officials come to us and they come to solicit our views on subject matters. But these are issues that affect us. These are issues that affect us directly. And it's important that at the policy stage, we get involved. I am a young person. I am in Parliament. So certainly when issues of youth come up on the floor, I'm able to add my voice. But we need a lot more people to do that. And it means that the various committees that we have in Parliament, anytime it is advertised that Parliament is considering a bill that affects the youth, you can easily write to the Speaker of Parliament, who will then direct to the committee to now invite you to make an input in the law. But we are not doing that. And for me, it is challenging. We need to get involved in the legislative process, because that is, for me, is the foundation to every law that affects the youth. So if we get it wrong at the legislative process, at the legislative level, we have gotten it wrong even in the implementation stage. So a budget is presented, government talks about putting in place an Obanta Pake program where young people will be given some money, will be given support to engage in commercial farming. We have seen a challenge. We have seen a problem with the formulation of that policy, and young people will keep quiet and will wait until a lot of money is spent on the policy that would not work, we think will not work. When it fails, now we begin to blame governments and say that, yes, if you had involved us in the legislative process, we would have done that. We need to also challenge the various youth ministries. We need to challenge the various youth agencies, the government mandated agencies, to also serve as a platform in engaging youth on issues that affect the youth. I'm sure that they would have easy access to the legislative body. They would have easy access to the executive body. They would have easy access to civil society groups that can share their opinions. They would have easy access to pressure groups that can share their opinions. When we put all of them, when they are able to coordinate and they feed us through the use of social media on their website, through regular mails and all of that, they feed us, then we are able to also contribute. So they also have a role to play. But I strongly believe that as youth, we have a major role to play. Let's begin to chase governments. Let's begin to put pressure on governments. Let's begin to ensure that things that matter are the things that the government talks about. I mean, during election, you'd have young people who would follow politicians without even asking relevant questions. We cannot do that. That should stop. We should not be chasing envelopes and all of that. We should now be chasing development. I mean, we are educated. The current crop of young people that we have are highly educated. And once we begin to ask the relevant questions, I'm sure governments will listen. Alem, is a meaningful youth participation or youth activism would make much impact unless the youth take part in agenda and priority setting. How can the youth be agenda setters? And that's what I have said. I mean, in setting an agenda, virtually every youth now knows how to ensure that agric becomes attractive to young people, but nobody is telling us how. Everybody knows how when there's a paradigm shift in our educational system, in our educational structure, it is going to help the transformational agenda that a lot of African leaders have picked up, and they are now engaged in industrialization. But nobody's putting up a paper to that effect. So we need to contribute, but by putting up papers, by adding our voices, by posting on social media. Let your ideas be heard. There will be somebody somewhere who, by virtue of the fact that wants some impulse, will pick your idea and will run with it and will be in parliament and will be championing your cause for you. So for me, getting involved is not waiting for governments to come to our aid. It's about time we also went to them. Mounted pressure. After all, it is our money that they are using in formulating policies. It is our monies that they are using in the development of the economy. So things that concern us, we should have a say in it. This is why African youth from fertile soil regions not take up agriculture degrees, but rather opt for other degrees outside, despite. So that has been the challenge. Like I said, whilst growing up, most of the books we read portrayed farmers as people from poor backgrounds, people who did not have some level of education, people who lack ideas. I mean, that was how farmers were seen. I mean, if you were to go back to your elementary books, you realize that you see a farmer with a hoe, you never see a farmer with a tractor. And that's what we were seeing in Ghana. But in recent times, the narrative seems to have changed. In Ghana today, there's a popular movie star, we call him John Dumelo. I don't know if some of you have heard of him. He wanted to be a member of parliament. He was unsuccessful, but he's been engaging a lot in the agri space. He's had some onion farms. He's had cabbage, ginger, and all of that. And he shows that on his pages. I have consulted for some agribusiness firms, and I've created very compelling stories on how agriculture can be very attractive to the youth. But like I said, responsibility is also on the government to provide incentives in that space. We need the machines. Now, agriculture cannot be the hoe and cutlass anymore. Agriculture involves a lot of mechanization, and we need to mechanize agriculture and ensure that our people are engaged and properly so in providing for food on our tables, first of all, and also providing for food for exports.
All right, thank you very much, dear delegates. Thank you, Honorable Davis. Thank you very much, Mr. Enoch, for the platform to connect. Honorable Davis talked about the power of synergy. It's with great pleasure learning from you. And yeah, without further ado, I'll give back the floor to Enoch for conclusion remarks. Thank you very much for your kind attention, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you, delegates, and thank you everyone who asked, and esteemed Honorable Davis, thank you very much for sharing your momentous wisdom with young people, because like you said, it's access to information. How do even leaders come at the top, interact with young people? So this is just a sign that you actually even do it in your country. If you have the humility to come and interact with many young people on an African level, because everyone here is from different African countries and they have different stories and different connections. So the art of leading in the 21st century is not how much you are guarded, it's how much you guard people's lives. That's the new trend. In this issue of VIP, you know, protection, whatever, it doesn't really make much difference. Is to listen to people and apply what they do. I am sure right now from the views of people, of these young men and women, you've picked some policy formulations on how even to do certain things. So thank you very much for giving us this time as African Rebirth. We appreciate much. For the young people, as Honorable Davis said, if you want to be a politician, don't shy away. Go for it. Go make connections. Interact. Develop your leadership qualities. Make sure you have communication skills that are super. Evolve. You know, this dimension. We should have like a new paradigm of leadership in Africa, most in Africa. The paradigm of, you know, cutting the red tape bureaucracies to ease information, to ease innovation, to evolve. And that's what is going to make the continent better. Otherwise, we have the best laws, we have the best professors who craft those laws. We lack just implementation. And part of the implementation is bureaucracies. They cut our development, and it's young people. Now, the young people can't blame the government for not creating spaces for them. But take it to an individual level. Now let's leave the knowledge of youth. Take it as a person. Were you going to give an excuse to not succeed because the government didn't create an opportunity for you? Not at all. It's an invalid excuse. So get out there, position in places of authority, opportunities. There are many young people, these members of parliament, they are looking to volunteer. Like be in your research team, ask them to be in your research team, volunteer, get connections, and that's how leadership is moved and built. So let's do our part, and the government will do their part. We shall put pressure on them and do their part to make development is not a one-size-fit-all. It is an act of collaboration. and coming to a consciousness of progress and unity. So let's do our part as young people, and the government will do our part. If it doesn't do our part, we shall make it do their part. Absolutely, there is no, there are no, international systems that always carrots and sticks. When it comes to hardware, you apply sticks. So the carrots is to do our part. So thank you very much. And it has been a pleasure having you on the platform, Honorable Davis. I hope we'll connect with young people, share their contacts, and another time we meet again. Like I usually say that Africa counts on you, we count on you. So the best future of Africa lies in your hands, and we count on you for sure. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Please increase interaction groups in let's take the debate further, and let's go for solutions. Let's act. Thank you very much, Honorable Davis, and I wish you the very best, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone. I'm so excited for this afternoon session. Have a lovely weekend.
You too, sir. Yeah, bye-bye.